we are talking about Tesla past, present, and most importantly, future. And I have a very special guest who's going to come on in just 1 second to talk about it all with me, which is I'm planning to do pretty much every Saturday, have an exciting guest. So it could be me and him or her and you guys in the chat room. So it's going to be fun. So let's get going right now. All right, so you know this guy, he's got his own channel, Kman Auto. I put the link in the description of this video. I know there's some of you guys are already a fan. Varun in the chat room looks like he is already following Kman. I met him personally actually at the semi-truck unveiling event. Super nice guy, very knowledgeable. Here he is in Milwaukee Biz Times, a magazine cover. Here's another picture of him with Elon Musk, not bad. And also he is pretty much the only person who was able to capture the in this video, as you can see, the charging port. The reason we can even talk about the mega charger connectors is because he's got this video during the semi-truck event. The only one out there. Of course, a lot of people are trying to rip him off, but that's the price I guess you pay for being the first. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce him to you guys. Please welcome Kman. Hey man, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. You know, I was just about to have a Zima, but then I thought that's so 1999, just like the GM EV1. So we're just going to put that away. So
touche. And we're going to talk about GM in a bit, but I wanted to talk about Tesla. Well, first of all, hey man, it was definitely a fun event. I know we met at the semi-truck event. It was fun, and I never really kind of got to ask you, like, what was your impression of the event? What do you think?
Let's see, the semi-truck event. As usual, Tesla events are crazy. At least they didn't keep us waiting too long. I was a little disappointed that more of us didn't get to actually see inside the semi-truck. I know you got that. And likewise with the Roadster, they didn't have enough time planned to give the people there rides or even just to get up close and personal with the vehicles. And it was pretty cherry-picked on who got to see it. So we had to make do with what we could.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the only thing that I got as sort of an exclusive, got to be behind the wheel of the truck. Obviously, I didn't get to try it, but it was still exciting. You know, it looks like, by the way, are you trying to sort of participate in their new, sort of the new, what do you call it, the lottery or drawing, where everybody can get people to sign up through their newsletter and then everybody, well, gets a chance to win, to actually drive it around. Though I'm not really sure, can you do it without the license?
Yeah, since it's all on their test track, yeah, anybody anywhere in the world can do it as long as they're whatever the age requirement that Tesla states is to do it. Yeah, I'm participating. I haven't really gone full bore into it. This is always a slow time for me, YouTube wise and Tesla wise, of the year right after the new year. But now that the weather's going to start getting nice, I got some fun stuff planned, and hopefully I can also get some more signups to maybe take a shot at driving that semi-truck around the track. Wouldn't be my first time in a semi, but I definitely think I could be a good contender for that.
I hope one of us wins so we can, you know, kind of go there, videotape it so everybody can see it. I got to tell you, I mean, I'm not as excited as is probably, you know, test driving other cars, because I mean, it's a semi that can only do so much. But okay, let's leave it alone for now. And what I really wanted to get is sort of your assessment of what's happening with Tesla now, right? We had the semi unveiling event. Obviously, Roadster popped out of nowhere, and it was all very exciting. But really, all eyes are on the Model 3. Mm-hmm. You know, production delays. I mean, lots of excitement at first. Then production delays. Then it looks like they're delivering. Like, what is your what do you see happening? Do you see more delays? Do you think this was good or bad? Where is Tesla right now with the Model 3? Because it looks like it's make it or break it time for them.
Well, with the Model 3, I think they're doing a great job at delivery. A friend of mine ordered his Model 3. Oh, I think it was 3 weeks ago, and it took from the day of order to delivery took about 2 weeks, and that was quite impressive. Obviously, right now Tesla has a limited number of configurations you can pretty much do, and two of the configurations are digital, which is enhanced autopilot and full self-driving. So two of them that can be flipped on at the push of a button. So I think right now Tesla's doing it really smart, limiting the number of configurations. They're just whipping out the cars off that assembly line as quick as they can because there's such limited number of configurations. Someone's bound to order what they're making no matter what. Whatever they're shoving in a car. The interiors are all the same. Pretty much you just get for the most part, choose your color and wheels. So there's only really two different things that Tesla really has to worry about. And how long does it really take to switch a set of rims if they have to fill an order? Not very long.
Yeah. By the way, Isaac in the chat room says that your volume is just a little too low. If you can speak just a little bit louder, let
Sure.
us know in the chat room, guys, if the balance is pretty good.
This
Okay,
is our first time doing this, guys. So I think next time around, I think I can make some little bit of adjustments.
Yeah.
But this will be our experimentation for this first.
We'll get better at this. We'll definitely get better at this. Okay, so what do you think about? And I agree, but what do you think about people? You know, people are going to be always complaining, as we know. But what do you think about people saying, well, you know, they're really not producing the Model 3 that we thought they would because, you know, it's not a $35,000 car, it's a $50,000 car at the very least. And, you know, by the time us, the common folk that really can only afford $35,000 car, you know, gets to configure, well, we're going to be out of the US tax incentive. What do you say to that?
I say big deal because you're going to be getting a car that's then been on the road for a couple months or even a year. And I've been there with my first Model S back in 2013. You got to get the growing pains out of it, even though they have experience now with the vehicles. You're still giving them time to work out all the bugs. There's already been a number of small changes made to the cars, and like I was mentioning, my friend just took delivery of his car, and there's a few quirks that he's got a service appointment to get remedied, and it's stuff that will probably get remedied over the course of this year, as pretty much the initial owners are being the beta testers, just like we were back in 2013, and beta tested the car to the absolute limit, which is why the Model S, and fast forwarding a bit, also now the Model X, are considerably more solid and 1,000% increase in quality. So yeah, you're missing out on the tax incentive, but at the same time, you're going to get a car that could potentially last a lot longer and require a lot less service outside of the warranty period.
Yeah, I think also people forget, you know, you don't have to spend money on gas. No matter who your utility company is, you're going to save at least half of your bill and not going to pay for oil changes or transmission fluid changes or, you know, tune-ups or really anything. So I think people kind of, I don't know why that point wasn't really driven home enough, where, you know, people are still comparing the, you know, the price of the electric car to a price of a gas car, and you know, without really calculating in all the gas savings that people will get. I mean, I always say this, you know, like, what do you care whether you're gonna separate your payments into Chevron and whatever bank you're using, or you're just gonna take it all and give it to the bank, right? You're just gonna be able to afford a better car.
Yeah, and regardless, you're gonna be in the safest car in that price range on the road. Safest car, least maintenance. I'm actually starting to get a little jealous from the efficiency of the Model 3, considering such a smaller battery pack, and a similarly sized car is getting such better range per charge than the Model S or the X with larger battery packs. Well,
Tom in the chat room says, Kman, do you really think it is fair for your friends, I don't know who your friends are, hopefully I'm one of them, to jump ahead of the other 300,000 first responders who have been waiting for 2 years?
My friend,
and then he says not.
I'm not sure what exactly you mean about jumping ahead.
I guess
like everybody else.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that he's basically saying that you know, and I think there's quite a few people are saying that it's not really fair that people who are not current Tesla owners, cannot afford a Tesla, get to take dibs, you know, first dibs on the Model 3 as well. So like richer getting richer, and people who really needed this car, you know, meaning like can afford only a a cheaper version of the Tesla, which is Model 3 really, they have to wait even longer. I happen to agree partially with them because I think if anything, we should expand the pool of people who own and drive electric cars and Teslas rather than keep it to this exclusive. I really don't see any reason why it's the current Tesla owners who get to get the car first. Like, what do you what do you think?
I agree, but let's just jump back and I'll cover what I agree with. The first batch went to Tesla employees, which I agree with. No problems with that. They earned it. They're the ones that had to go through, as Elon says, production hell to get the cars to market and get them built. It's a yes and no for the current owners jumping ahead a little bit, but it's, I think, a double-sided coin here. At the same time, a lot of the existing owners also had the income to spend on that additional vehicle, and in terms of financials, it makes sense financial wise for Tesla to get the most expensive cars out the door first and then work on bringing the costs down. I know it doesn't seem fair, but in the long run, Tesla is still a business, and to keep the doors open, they still have to make some money. And I think we would all rather wait maybe a couple months or longer more and allow Tesla to actually pay their bills and keep going than to potentially just get a whole bunch of cars out the door that just aren't making them enough at that time. And this is a crucial time for their return on investment for setting up all the production lines and the development and everything for the Model 3. They need to pay the bills.
But what about, so okay, no, I agree with you there. I mean, obviously they can't do leases, they can't, they obviously need the higher margins. But what about, like, why do you think, because people who are non-Tesla owners, when if they do want to pay the for a higher priced Model 3, well, they can't even do it until really like a week ago. Did you find that unfair, or what do you think, and why do you think Tesla did that? I mean, just like I said, I would have assumed that they would want to expand the community rather than just restrict it.
I think a better way of doing it is Tesla should have sent out, and they send out surveys all the time to existing customers and reservation holders. I think they could have sent a survey out, saying, would you be interested in jumping higher up in the line and getting the more expensive model? I think they could have did that. Tesla's not the best at customer communications or even communications within the company. So yeah, I think they could have improved on that quite a bit. Likewise, I'm starting to see non-existing owners already getting invitations to configure. And
we have somebody in the chat room who just said that. Andy Miller in the chat room says that he just checked his Tesla account and he now can configure. And he says that pretty much it is starting to flow.
Exactly. And me as a 0-day reservation holder, I'm passing on ordering mine. I just, at the moment, it's
same here.
It's out of my price range. I'd rather go for a certified pre-owned Model S, with more features and everything than the 3. That's a whole nother discussion. But me as a 0-day reservation holder and an existing owner, I didn't get my option to configure until mid-January. And now we're just at the beginning of March. So we're talking a month and a half later. So far, it's only been a month and a half. And now non-owners are getting invitations. So in terms of fairness in that point, I think it's kind of a moot point. A month and a half is not really that big of a deal. Maybe a year, yeah, that's a big deal. But a month and a half, I don't think that's too bad of an additional wait.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I wanted to talk to you about the competition now. But before that, I just wanted to remind everybody that this channel and this video is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. And if you want to save a few bucks while you're shopping there, there's a coupon code, the discount code in the description of this video, so check it out. Also, in the description of this video is a link to Kman's YouTube channel. You guys got to check it out. He pretty much does it pretty much like a vlog style, right? But also a lot of interesting information. Just like I said, if you go back to the semi-truck event videos that he created, they're very cool. So definitely check it out. But let's move on to iPace, because this is something that people have been so this is, I'm showing their Tesla challenge right now. They just unveiled digitally their new car, the iPace, which is fully electric. It starts a little bit more than everybody expected at 87,000. I believe the Model X starts at what, 79 and a half. The range is about 220 EPA. They're claiming it's more, but EPA rating looks like it's going to be 220. I mean, to be honest with you, I love the way it looks. I'm excited about this car, but well. First of all, let me just find out, what do you think about the car, about the iPace, just as competition for Tesla and just a new electric car in the market?
As a new electric car on the market, well, we welcome any kind of competition, because competition breeds innovation. So as one company innovates, the next company is going to have to, constantly one up. In terms of a actual Tesla competitor, as a around town car, I think it's still it's a good option. In terms of a distance vehicle, they're still missing out on the high-speed charging network. They have high-speed chargers, but still, there's no standardized network that they can go to that would get you, at least here in the U.S., you'd never, for quite a while, be able to drive that from Los Angeles to New York. That's a practical impossibility. Whereas, as we all know, Carl Reese has done that multiple times and broken multiple world records with a Tesla vehicle. Without that charging network, it's pretty much a day trip car, or a town or two over kind of car.
Well, so I kind of have a little rebuttal of that. So I have two Teslas, right? And one of them is 60, another one's 70D. So by far not the biggest batteries. And I do travel once in a while to Sacramento and Los Angeles from the San Francisco Bay Area. And for the day-to-day driving, which is really 99.9% of my life, and I drive a lot, man. I drive like 20,000 miles a year. I rarely even worry about the range, right? So really, for 99.9% of the time, if you charge this car at the garage, it should be okay. And when I travel long distance, and I admitted this many times, because that superchargers do add 2+ hours, if there is a line, like 3 hours to my 5-hour trip to Los Angeles, or almost double my trip to Sacramento, I opt out to get a gas car, because I hate filling up the tank. I hate giving them money again. But when it's an 8-hour trip versus 5-hour trip, for now I still do that. So I have a feeling for people who might just have one electric car for day driving and another one is like minivan for their family, this is not really that bad of an idea. As a matter of fact, if they love Jaguar, if they just want to stick with a traditional car company, this may just not be that bad of a thing. What do you think?
It could work, as if they have a second vehicle. Now, in terms of interior, heck, they blow the living crap out of Tesla for interior, and that's something that we as owners have been saying for 5 years now. Tesla really needs to work out the kinks and the lower end interior, especially for the higher priced cars. When you're buying a $150,000 fully loaded Tesla, you shouldn't be getting an interior that's what you'd see in a $15,000 or $20,000 Honda.
And so I'm showing the interior right now. This is the iPace interior. I mean, the screen could be bigger, I have to say. I mean, I'm a big fan of a touch screen, and there's still a lot of buttons, which I know some people like. But definitely, one of the biggest criticism of Tesla is, the interior, whether it's luxurious enough. This is a typical Jaguar interior. Again, I would wish there would be a bigger monitor. I think that's where the future is really going. But yeah, actually, I haven't really talked about it really. That it is definitely an advantage. Let's see. I'm just kind of Isaac in the chat room says 220-mile range will be way more than I will ever travel in single drive, which is true for me as well. He says, I am happy to see we now have a realistic competitor to Tesla. Well, which brings me to something else. And, we usually every day I do comment of the day. I wasn't going to do it today, except for the comment of the day kind of goes right into what we're talking about. This comes from Roger Wolf. So he says, and then we're talking about that Tesla video that iPace put out, which is kind of to show that they're so much really better than I'm showing it right now than Tesla. He says apparently Alex, meaning me, didn't watch the actual race video because they said they wouldn't give him a P100D because it was doable. It was double the price of the Jaguar, so they got him the next best thing. There was no switcheroo. So a lot of us noticed that, and I'm still gonna maintain my position on this one, is that they brought Model X to the track, and they got first of all, let me back the fuck up, okay? I mean, just because my mind, I was such a big fan of Jaguar I-Pace. I was really considering to be as my next car, but now, this is really bothering me. And I know, like, I've seen some comments for the video yesterday that people are also bothered by this as well. And let me just get it out, and then I'll get your take on it. But, so one, they decided to race it 0 to 60. And even the, slowest Tesla only is like 0.4 seconds slower than this one. Model X is bigger, and so they decided instead of they just gonna do a regular race where you have to cross a line, they also have to come to a complete stop, which obviously iPace can do faster than a bigger Model X. So I thought that was already a little shady of them, but and they didn't even beat it by that much. But secondly, basically, the second driver comes out and says, hey, how about a P100D, which is a good point because, hey, you got to compare best of both, right? If you're comparing something, you got to bring the best version. And the guy goes like, well, but you can get 2 of these, for the price of it, which is I don't know about that, and then they kind of give him they go like, yeah, well, here's the bigger browser for the Model X, and they give him a 100D. That's still a little bit slower by 0.2 seconds, right? So let me show this piece of the clip because I want people to see it. I'm going to do it full screen because this is where I have a problem. So let me just show it, and I'll get your opinion about this. So here we go.
Well, this is quite a walk.
So by the way, I froze the frame just so you see how little of a distance there is. Just barely one body of a car.
Mate, I smashed it.
I need a faster car. Can you get me the P100D?
Well, for the price of a P100D, I could almost buy 2 of these.
Sure, mate. I still get another car to try.
Okay.
That is the bigger brother to the first Model X. It's the 100D. It's more powerful than the 75D, but will it be quick enough to beat the I-Pace? Let's find out.
So there you go. So, first of all, the distances was pretty tiny. And of course, they picked the best angle, but you can still see it's, even with beating it 0 to 60 and beating it at the braking distance, it was almost nothing. But most importantly, what do you think about this whole way to compare themselves to Tesla Model X, and should they even?
Not going with the P100D. I guess I could see that making some sense considering they're trying to compare similar cost of vehicles. But I also don't think they actually should have raced a P100D. I think they should have raced, I don't think they should have raced a Model X. Personally, the I-Pace, while they call it the SUV crossover, it's actually more similar to the Model S. In fact, I still think the Model S is considerably more useful and more storage capacity overall, and almost exactly the same size. I think they kind of fudged that one. They should have did the Model S than the Model X. If they did that, the 100D Model S would have beat the Jaguar probably by about at least as much as the Jaguar beat the Model X.
Oh, by way more. So don't forget, Jaguar 0 to 60 is 4.5 I-Pace. The P100D is 2.9 seconds. It will beat the living crap out of it, really. And that's why they didn't do it. But let me ask you this, because It is so weird that that the Jaguar and I think other companies like Porsche, they had a little, put a little video out there or a statement, about Tesla and others. But why are they fighting over 1% of the market share? Because electric cars are just 1% of market share, right? Wouldn't it be better for them to market this car? First of all, you don't want to market it against a company that's so far ahead of you, right? And kind of that only is going to start the conversation like this, and everybody's going to point out your shortcomings. But most importantly, why not market this to people who will want to contribute to the environment, people who want to save money on gas, people who want to get the 10,000 or so for incentive for the car, people who love Jaguar, for example, or people who are already fans, people who just want to get an electric car but not from a startup that's going to go away like Tesla. I'm still doing it in quotes, but some people do want to buy a car from why not market to the 99% of the world? Because this I-Pace is much better than almost all compact SUVs out there. There's also a market of compact SUVs that hasn't been touched by Tesla. I mean, I know Kia Niro EV is coming in, and Hyundai are coming in with their Kona, but they can stand on their own. Why are they fighting the biggest guy and 1% of a market share instead of going for the rest of the world?
Number one, they're scared. Tesla's already poaching tons of the higher end Jaguar customers. Number two, they're one of the few manufacturers who actually admit that there's a change in the market. So they realize that the market's starting to go electric, and if they don't try and compete with Tesla now, pretty soon it's going to be too late. They're going to be even further behind, to the point where they're going to have a really hard time catching up. And number three, you got to start somewhere. And if they can't beat Tesla, which I kind of doubt they will, I mean, they're already pretty far behind trying to catch up. At least they'll be ahead of the other competition. I don't even think like the big three in the U.S., Ford, GM, and Chrysler, everything they put out's garbage, so they don't have to worry about them. But they still have to worry about BMW and Volvo and Mercedes. Am I missing anybody?
Yeah. Well, Volvo. I mean, you're missing Kia and Hyundai. I mean, if anyone's gonna compete with these, it is going to be Kia. I don't know why I can't pronounce the damn name. Kia Niro EV, which is right here. They will definitely be the competitors, and Hyundai, the new Hyundai Kona. So I think those, because they're going to be compact SUVs, and I think that's what they're going to worry about now. So I need
to interject one more thing.
Yeah.
Something that everybody keeps overlooking: China, the Chinese market. China has more electric vehicles on the road right now than any other country, even Norway. Well, obviously they're considerably bigger. And I've covered this a few times. I'm in China regularly, and I'm going to be heading back again this April, and covering a lot of cool stuff. But even as of my first trip to China in 2015 at the beginning, and I got videos up on this, now not car-wise, but actual vehicles, non-car vehicles, motorcycles, rickshaws, pretty much anything that wasn't an actual car. Electric outnumbered gas by 15-1. As of the last time I was in China at the end of 2016, that number was up to about 25-1. And I'm sure it's going to be even more when I return this April. And on top of that, China is building their own electric cars, and they're not garbage. Well,
we'll see about that, but they're definitely doing a really good job.
They've had 200+ mile range cars for 3 years already, and they're just taking over the market there. In Beijing, I was riding in taxis that had 250-mile range 2 years ago, but they haven't expanded outside. So Jaguar and all these other manufacturers still have to be able to compete with the Chinese market, and the Chinese already have a leg up because they already have over 1.5 billion people to market to just in their own country, not even talking about the rest of the world.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about a few brands. Well, there are two ways how we can look at the Chinese market, right? One is the cars that are making there. I mean, I just did a show where, you know, I found out like a lot of people, BYD is this is the Chinese company that's Build Your Dream, sold more electric cars, including plug-in cars in the world than anybody else, and Tesla is just number 3. But also Chinese are investing heavily in other companies that are coming here. You know, Byton, which is down the street from me, it's pretty much a Chinese company. Faraday Future, Lucid Air, so they're really expanding. So absolutely there's going to be some stiff competition from Chinese companies. Now it is a little different once they come here. Right now it's one thing you're building a car for a Chinese market, another thing you're building it for California or even Europe with much stricter regulations. So granted, absolutely, and there's just I think it will be a mistake for people not to take China in very, very seriously at this point. Let me go back to the chat room really quick. So the Viking says, well, you guys are talking about it, so this is why Jaguar made that video. Yes, I mean, by the way, if I was in their marketing department and I was asked to make a video when I have to compare that car to a Model X, I would freak out. But if I would, you know, if I was to make a video about it, you know, with a gun to my head, I would make a very similar video. It's very nicely done as far as kind of deceiving people without really saying anything. If you look at that video line by line, they're really not lying about anything, really, right? They're setting up the rules that are a little bit BS, and then they're, you know, doing a switcheroonie without really kind of doing it right in front of you like a good magician.
They're just hoping the viewers don't, you know, think too deeply into it.
Right. So that's granted. And then Ben in the chat room says, I'm sure the Model Y will set the record straight. So let's talk about Model Y really quick. I mean, they're a little behind, right? They haven't even built the factory, and a lot of people are wondering where they're going to build the Model Y and when is it going to come out? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we really don't know too much about it at all. But the cars are probably mostly going to be built at the Gigafactory. It's not going to be just a battery factory. They're already building a considerable amount of the Model 3 at the Gigafactory as well.
Yeah,
so,
and
yeah, who knows? I mean, they got plenty of room to keep expanding. I mean, I'm not sure if you've been there, Alex, but just the property the Gigafactory sits on is exponentially larger than what anybody that hasn't been there can even comprehend. I mean, they got room to build a couple gigafactories on that property.
Yeah, and also there are some reports that they're expanding. Well, they were actually applied for permits here in Fremont factory. Some people think that they can actually expand that to make the Model Y. I don't think so, but you know, they've done things that we never thought they would. So that's a possibility.
I'd probably say if they could get rid of their test track at the Fremont factory, they'd actually have a lot of room to expand. And I think it's kind of a bad location for a test track at this point. They've kind of outgrown that track, and they could definitely build one out by the Gigafactory and have something a lot more tailored to what they're building and cover a lot wider range of their vehicles.
Yeah, but we got a lot of cool spy shots there, and I go there all the time just to check it out, and I go, you know, to kind of see what's going on. But yeah, you're right, actually, and if anything, they can actually have a different location for the test track, because that's not as important really to have it right there, you know.
If you want some spy shots from that test track, and this goes to anybody else watching right now, go to the train station for the Metro Transit, which is pretty much behind the factory on the other side of the railroad tracks, and you're up high enough where if you got a good zoom on your camera, you can get a good shot of anything without needing a drone.
Or a drone, I was gonna say, yeah. I always bring a drone. All right, Nick Nimmin is in the chat room. I guess he has finished his 5-hour stream. Welcome, Nick. And my girlfriend here, who is already agreeing with Nick, who only just said that the stream is on. All right, guys, you guys have your own power then, but welcome. Both of them are obviously moderators. Well, Varun in the chat room goes back to our conversation about and your point, Kman, about the Chinese manufacturers. He says the regulation of European Union and United States will just make the Chinese cars a little more expensive. So US and EU can't wait electric cars or die situation, or they become the next Nokia or Kodak. Now, what do you think about that? Well, two things, right? He brought up. One is, hey, how much more expensive these Chinese cars are going to be and reliable when they get to the US and Europe. And two, do you think we're past that point of like no return where electric cars are here to stay?
Okay, I'm going to answer second question first. Yes, we are
Okay.
definitely past that point of no return. We passed that once the first cross-country supercharging network was or first cross-country supercharging route was complete, and you had the ability to go long distance, which was kind of how my channel started. Was the first year I had my Model S, I put 25,000 miles on it, and we had like 10 public stations. I'm talking the J1772 slow AC station. So I was pretty much landlocked. And my channel kind of started showing that, hey, these things are actually usable. So I think once we hit that point, electric cars were here to stay. Now, going back to increasing the cost of Chinese vehicles, I'm going to answer that in a different way. I used to be Wisconsin's first, or I was Wisconsin's first electric car dealer. I've actually been carrying, or when I had my shop, I carried Chinese electric cars as long ago as 2007. Now the problem was because they didn't meet U.S. safety standards. They had to be licensed as a low-speed or neighborhood electric vehicle. The big reason that the Chinese cars haven't already taken over the world was because they don't meet pretty much the rest of the world's crash standards, which is a good thing. We want the safety increased, so I don't think they're that far off on those grounds. It's not that much more difficult now. You can get a full car that's electric in China starting at $8,000 or $9,000 US. I'd say if they even doubled the cost to say somewhere between $18,000 and $20,000, you're talking something that's going to pass all the safety ratings and still have a long range. In terms of reliability, the reliability. Now, the last time I was in China, I did ask her, with my wife as the intermediate translator, a couple taxi drivers that we were talking to about the reliability of their BYD, or it's actually pronounced Biati. I
Really?
didn't know
I
that
didn't
until
know
my
that.
last trip.
Wow. I'm learning some Chinese here. Biati? Because I thought it was build your dream.
Well, they
Biati.
call it Biati.
Okay, all right.
Didn't know
Biati.
that either until I got yelled at last time I was in China,
Nice.
because no one knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
Biati. Okay.
and the couple of the taxis we're in were well over 100,000 kilometers on each. One was a Biati, and one was and I'm gonna butcher the name. It's Quinqui or Chinqui, Quingqi. And both were well over 100,000 kilometers in Beijing, and both said other than just like a Tesla, other than tires and windshield washer fluid, they pretty much didn't do anything to them. And those things are pretty much running 24/7. They're hot seats where they swap drivers at the end of the day, and they just keep on going.
Yeah. Cool. Well, by the way, I misread Nick's comments. I thought he was just saying this stream is on. He actually said this stream is on fire, but I don't do I don't speak emojis, so I didn't. I was like, yeah. Awesome hat. Kman says Ben in the chat room, which I agree, man. You always have a cool style to you when you do your channel, and I can talk to you forever. We were gonna do this for 20 minutes. I said, well, 30 minutes top. We're in about 40 minutes already at this point.
Oh, wow.
So first of all, I gotta get you back on the show at some point. Whenever. I hope to see you at some cool event again in the future, because I'm sure there will be. Let me ask you the last question, right? What do you think is going to be the next event for Tesla, and when?
That's a tough one, because Tesla's got so much hidden stuff brewing that you guys out there don't have a clue about. If you read between a lot of lines, and there's some stuff that I'm not going to discuss publicly, it's hard for me to answer, but I think we either got like a pickup truck coming, um, and then I really can't fathom what they got coming. I think the real big thing that they're working on though is the batteries, not necessarily a completely new vehicle. They got enough on their plate. They got well, they got the Model S and the Model X are a finished vehicle. So the only thing we're going to see are probably trickle down improvements from the Model 3 now. They got to concentrate on that Model 3. They got the semi truck that they got to finish, and they got a roadster that they got to finish. And I can tell you why they're so far out on the, at least in my opinion, uh, the reason they're so far out on the semi and the roadster is because of the batteries.
No doubt.
200 kilowatt hour battery in a roadster. Now, we have no proof or idea how big the actual battery was in the roadster they had at the Roadster Semi Truck event. Now, at the Midwest Renewable Energy Fair here in Wisconsin last summer, it's every year in June. I have a video of it up on my channel of JB Strobel's speech. JB's from Wisconsin here, so he was right at home with the rest of us. He actually grew up not too far from where I live. And if you read between the lines, they are working on a few different battery chemistries. So, I mean, it's not that hard to drop 2 performance drive units and or 3 of them, to hit the 3 drive units for the Roadster and put the rest of the car together. I mean, they got the technology, they have the drive units, they're missing the batteries. So I think it's the batteries. We're going to be seeing a doubling in density of the batteries at some point within this year or next year. They might have the prototypes of those batteries out, but they got to test them first so we don't have the whole boondoggle that we're having with the current 75s, 90s, and 100 batteries that are having the premature degradation.
The Varun in chat room asked if there were a lot of test drives that day when we met at the semi truck event. Yeah, there were, except for unless you weren't buying, if you weren't buying the roadster or the semi, you weren't gonna get it. Did you get a test drive on either one of them?
Nope.
Yeah, me
No
neither.
matter
And
begging could. Now, of course, we all know Bjorn, who is winning or has won his free roadster, and the gentleman I was with also already had his free roadster pretty much in the bag. He was one referral away from that. They wouldn't even let either of them go on the roadster unless they put down a $10,000 deposit
yeah,
on the spot. So unless you put down an order and paid on the spot, and even then, that did not guarantee you a ride in the roadster. And for the semi truck, the only people that got rides in the semi truck, and other than a few handful of people like Alex that actually got to sit in it, the only people that really got in it were industry people like from Pepsi and a few other companies that are actually ordering quantities of them. Which I met a few of those at the airport waiting to try and get home, and kind of beat a little information out of them that they probably weren't supposed to talk about. But
yeah.
it's all public now, so no use talking about that.
And by the way, so let me just what you were saying earlier about the batteries. I can't agree with you more. That is all about batteries right now. I think companies are who are serious about the producing electric cars. They're now trying to secure their supply chain all the way to the actual mines of cobalt and lithium. It does look like, and there's a question from Varun in the chat room, is that we might be moving closer to the solid state batteries, though the lithium ion here to stay. They will probably be advanced in a few more steps before we see either a solid state or supercapacitor or some sort of a mix between those two, or something even more wonderful and amazing. But you're absolutely right. It is really all about batteries right now, because I think everybody can make like chassis and screens and wheels and all that stuff. But I think it's all about the battery. So I can't agree with you more.
Just speaking again about the batteries again. That was with the Roadster. With the semi truck, you got what was it? I think we calculated a megawatt battery, and to fit a megawatt battery in the size of the semi truck would once again probably be using the same same cells that are going to be in that Roadster. So I think that's really the only thing holding both those vehicles back to be able to meet their full claims. Now, please don't take me wrong. I'm not saying, and I don't have any knowledge of what the actual size batteries that were in those vehicles were, because I know someone out there from another company is probably going to try and twist my words. That happens all the time. So I have no idea.
I know what you mean.
And I made sure I didn't have an idea, so that way I couldn't have my words twisted. But to be able to pull it off we're going to have a doubling in density, and that would make sense given the capacity claims for the Roadster and the range claims for the semi-truck.
Hey man, I can talk to you about this all day. So, and I think we're just about to cross, like almost getting closer to the hour. But why don't we table this conversation for next time? Because yeah, I gotta get you back. I hope I'm gonna see you at one of whatever the next event is going to be. Because I know we're not that close geographically, but I'm glad I can have you on the show this way. Thank you so much. I mean, feel free to hang out in the chat room. I think there are a few questions for you there, guys. If you have a couple of questions, if Kman, if you have a couple more minutes to answer them. And by the way, guys, if you haven't seen Kman's channel, you must subscribe. I already put the link to his channel in the description of this video. You can just simply search for Kman Auto. That's the name of the channel. Again, I'm looking forward to collaborating with you more, having, I'm a fan already, but also having you back on here. So thanks, man, for coming out. And is there anything else that we should expect as viewers of your channel coming up?
Just a couple things. First off, like I mentioned, I'll be heading back to China. Actually, April 2nd, I'll be landing in Beijing on the 3rd, and we'll be going between Beijing and Fushun, China. Fushun's where my wife is from and her family lives. There is located the world's second largest open coal mine, and her uncle's friend is actually the manager of it. And we're working on pulling some strings with both him and unfortunately also we have to pull the strings with the local government. But it's looking promising that we'll actually be able to, of course, take an electric train ride of all things to the bottom of the world's second largest.
Or the irony. Oh, the irony.
And then I'm hoping to line up a few other electric vehicle-y type things on that trip. And I hope you don't mind, Alex, but I just want to also mention that, of course, we both run on the Tesla referral program to be able to get to the awesome events, both Alex and myself.
Yeah.
I have available one referral left that will also get a $500 Tesla service credit. So you can get the unlimited free supercharging and a $500 Tesla service credit. I have that one left that would also secure me. And if Alex doesn't hit it, I guess I can take him as my +1 or 2 for the next major Tesla event. So if Alex, if you don't mind,
I don't mind, man. I don't care if I'm going as a guest, right? Or as a guest of a guest, as long as we get there somehow,
Well, as long as we get there.
Yeah.
So one more would secure me to the next event, so
yeah.
I can report on it for you guys, and I'd be happy to take Alex if he needs, and hopefully it works both ways. So
yeah, man, it was fun hanging out with you there. It was fun hanging out with you here. I gotta go because I have some plans with my girlfriend, who is probably on her way here already, but have a great afternoon. You guys check out Kman's channel. Thanks so much for being on my show.
This was fun, and I'm glad it worked, so we can do this again.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Saturday interview. I am planning on doing this pretty much every Saturday. I'm going to have a guest on every Saturday. I don't know, not going to always tell you that, who the guest is going to be, because, sometimes it takes a while to book them, but I have a couple of guests coming up that I think you will like, people that you've seen already on YouTube. So it should definitely be exciting. I'm excited to just, have a conversation with another human being in sort of like life like this. Kman is always a great guest and a great guy to hang out. Definitely check out his channel. So don't forget, tomorrow we are hanging out here. I'm just going to answer your questions a little bit more than today. Kind of gave Kman the floor, of course, because he is the guest. But tomorrow I'm going to answer your questions, read your comments. So please tune in here. We're going to probably hang out for a couple of hours at 11 o'clock Pacific time. Also, next week I have 2 or 3 spots where I'm actually going to go live at about 9 or 10 p.m. Because of some conflicts. So check that out. Hoping to see some new viewers. Other than that, guys, see you tomorrow. And remember to stay charged.